These are looking so pretty. Hi, it's Steph, and we are quickly approaching our first frost date here in Zone 6B. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to document how pretty the dahlias look now in late October. I grow my dahlias here in my vegetable garden among tomatoes and whatever else. So basically wherever they fit. And this year I grew them along the back there in that really long bed, but the deer thought that I put up a buffet for them. So they have been munching on these dahlias. So as of recent, I've been spraying them so that I can still hopefully enjoy some of their blooms. If you're wondering how the deer get into my vegetable garden to eat the dahlias, they basically just lean over the fence from the outside and rip them up and eat them. So let's go around and I will show you the varieties that I'm growing and what they look like this year. So this is the long bed that I have them in, and as you can see, I've been making some makeshift staking. I have some bamboo sticks and some tall wooden stakes that I've recently moved over here once my tomatoes were done, and I've just been using some garden twine to kind of tie them up so that they have a less of a likelihood of snapping when we get rain or a lot of wind. Next year, I'll plan a bit better in terms of the staking. This is maybe my third year growing dahlias, third or fourth now, and it's always a learning experience. But the goal is to next year use some of that horticultural netting and create like a grate for them to kind of grow through. I've been asked on a couple of occasions what the purpose of these cute little terracotta pots are. And earlier in the spring, my intention was to fill these with straw, and it would create sort of a habitat for earwigs to climb into. They like dark spaces instead of them climbing into my dahlias. However, I never got around to buying the straw and to filling the terracotta pots. So at this point, they're just decorative, and they remind me of Monty Don's gardens, which I really like. Cafe au lait. It's interesting how some have more of a creamy color and some will show a bit more blush pink. Gorgeous. This was a really big one, but it's fading now. This beauty is called Marne, and it is a small ball dahlia. And it's really prolific. This beauty is a la mode. If I had to guess, probably like a peach a la mode, because the peachy petals with the vanilla ice cream. But this one is a really beautiful, ruffly type dahlia. This one is called Sherwood Peach. And it's a beautiful peachy colored dahlia with a little bit of yellow. And I know it's coming up very apricot and pink on camera, but In person, it does have some yellow striping. And it is a really beautiful dinner plate sized dahlia. Unknown variety, but really pretty. Here's some more of the beautiful alamode. This is an unknown variety. This yellow one, I must have gotten it by accident in a package. It must have been documented as something else, and when it bloomed, it was yellow. And I'll tell you what, this one does not want to die. For the past 3 years, I have been pulling out my tubers, and this one always makes it. So this happy little yellow dahlia likes to be in my garden. And while yellow is not my favorite, it is really cherry and pretty. This beauty here is called Daisy Duke, and it's a really pretty, maybe a 3 to 4 inch dahlia with a lot of petals and a really beautiful array of colors. Ferncliff Illusion. It is a creamy colored dahlia with purple tips. Now let's do a comparison to the stock photo or the card that came with the dahlia packaging. So this is one that I bought at Walmart, and it's called Ferncliff Illusion. I paid $5.42 for 2 bulbs, and let's compare it to what actually grew. And on the Ferncliff Illusion dahlia, what you see is what you get. The flower pretty much matches the stock card dead on. Penhill Watermelon, another really large dinner plate sized dahlia with ruffly petals. Look at the weight on this. It's bending the stem. These are humongous. And sometimes this one can even be confused with Labyrinth because they are very similar looking. Here's a single petaled dahlia, and this one is called Happy HS Single Date, or Happy Single Date. And I bought these tubers this year from Longfield Gardens, and it is a really pretty peachy apricot color with an orange coloring in the center, and it looks really beautiful now that we're in fall for fall arranging. And there are so many buds on this plant, but I'm afraid that we are not going to get to see most of them open before we get the first frost. And it looks like pollinators like them because a little bee just landed on it. And here's an example of a dahlia that looks not like the photo. This is called Blue Boy, and I bought this at Lowe's. There were 2 bulbs, and I thought I was getting a lavender colored bloom, but instead I've gotten some fuchsia blooms. And while very pretty, they don't match the stock photo. So I went to Google and I checked for Blue Boy. I did a search, and there are some pictures online where it does look to be this fuchsia color. So I think there is a large variation in terms of what color you're going to get when you plant your Blue Boy dahlias. I also planted Lucky Number, and this was another one of the dahlias that I had bought at Walmart. And here is the tag for it. However, the plant has been really slow to get going, and I believe that it is mostly shaded in this corner, which is why it's not really thriving. I just hope that the tuber makes it, and hopefully next year, if it's in a more sunny disposition, that it'll finally give us some of these beautiful blooms. At first, I actually thought that this here, the blue boy, was the lucky 8. But I took a look at the labeling and it's labeled as blue boy. And I made sure to label as soon as I took the tuber out of the packaging and planted them so that at least I knew that what I put in the ground is what the package said. Now the ones from last year, those are a wild card. I didn't label any of them and I didn't get to it before the frost. And then once you get a frost and they turn all mushy, it's really hard to know what was there before. So get all your labeling done before the frost happens if possible. This beauty here is either Jocondo, but Jocondo in the packaging looks a lot more fuchsia, or it is possibly Lavender Perfection. I really do have to get better at some labeling on these. Not a strong suit of mine. And that looks pretty close. So I think it's safe to say that this beauty is a Lavender Perfection. We're gonna do another card comparison or photo comparison. Now this one I bought this year at the Home Depot. It was supposed to be called Bristol Stripe. And the only semblance of that dahlia that resembles the photo is the fact that it could have potentially started striping with what we see here on these petals. However, this looks a lot more like a Ferncliff illusion than it does a Bristol Stripe. But I know that I labeled it correct because as soon as I took it out of the packaging, I put the label in the ground. So I believe it was a case of mispackaging. They probably put the wrong tuber in the package, but let's check it out. This is what I planted here, and that is what I got. So yeah, this one is definitely not right. Let me show you the Ferncliff illusion photo. It actually looks more similar to that. Cream de Cassis, a really prolific small dahlia. This has the most beautiful color. The front of the petals almost have a very light lavender look to them. And then when you turn the bloom around, the back of the petals are a really dark, beautiful fuchsia, almost red looking petal. These are really prolific and the blooms are non-stop on this one. And this dainty little cutie here is called Linda's Baby. It's a little misshapen, but about a week ago I had 4 really beautiful blooms on this plant here. And I'll see if I can insert the photo. But another really pretty small ball type dahlia. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed spending this time with me in the garden, checking out the dahlias that I grew this year. I think it was fun to compare the stock photo on the card from the packaging of the dahlias that I got this year to what actually grew. I always find that kind of interesting. So thanks again for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one. These are looking so pretty. It was about to rain, so I cut back a lot of the dahlias and I gave some away, and I brought these cuties indoor to enjoy. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button. And please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. And we'll see you soon.